All right, so The Last of Us returns with episode 4, following the third episode, as 4 often does. The third episode was super controversial, mostly because that was obviously not 10 miles west of Boston, people. That was very clearly somewhere out west. But no, I'm just kidding. It was controversial because of the Bill and Frank storyline. Some people were upset that it diverged so much from the game. Some people were upset that it was a gay romance between two men. And some people had better complaints than others. I thought it was great. I loved it. I thought it was a very powerful, moving episode, well acted, well written. I don't think it was woke. I think that it was just a really excellent hour and 20 minutes of television. I do think, and I talked about this in a previous video, I do think that they could have structured it so that Bill and Ellie had a chance to meet. Maybe Bill didn't actually die at the end there with Frank. Maybe instead he, buried Frank, and then they showed up and had their moments, and then they left, and then maybe that's when he kills himself. And I don't know. I thought it was good. And I thought this episode was good. This episode actually fixes one of the problems with the last episode. A lot of people were like, oh, they didn't have the gay porno that Ellie finds, that was a funny part of the game. Well, she finds it in this episode, which is what I said was going to happen, that she'd probably find it in the truck. And sure enough, lo and behold, she finds it in the truck. And that is a funny moment. And actually, one thing I love about this episode was that it was very funny. There was a lot of moments of humor and human connection and sentimentality, but not the cloying kind of sentimentality. The sort of character building, bonding sentimentality that helps Joel and Ellie grow closer. One thing the show is doing very well is showing us the lighter side of the apocalypse. It's not like it's all fun and games. This isn't like Zombieland or something, but they show us that love can be found even in the darkest of times. Romantic love in the case of Bill and Frank, or a more familial love in the case of Joel and Ellie. Though at one point she asks, "Oh, I'm not family." He's talking about how he doesn't care about the world; it's all about family. And she says, "And I'm not family." And he says, "No, you're cargo." But that answer sounds pretty thin when he says it, and by the end of the episode, is clearly not true. The humor in this episode mostly takes the form of these jokes that Ellie's telling from this book she finds. And at first, Joel is irritated by these, and then she, later in the middle of the episode, she says, "Why did the Scarecrow get an award?" And he says, he thinks about it for a second, and he says, "Because he was outstanding in his field." Like, outstanding in his field. That's a funny one. I like these cheesy jokes. They remind me a little bit of the new Ghostbusters movie and the jokes that the main character in that movie told. Anyways, at that point, he's now participating in the joke, and by the time the last joke is told at the end of the episode, they're, laughing hysterically together about it. And you really see that not only has their relationship thawed out, but actually warmed up, and now they are moving together through this journey rather than just like him towing her along. Other than the funny stuff, the episode has some good tense action. When they get to Kansas City, the road is blockaded, so they go in through the city and basically are ambushed. They get into a fight with some bandits. The fight itself, I have to say, felt very much like a video game fight. It really reminded me of playing The Last of Us, like these bad guys out behind their truck shooting at Joel, and he's behind cover, and he pops out of cover and shoots at them, and of course they miss all the time, and he hits because it's a video game, and you're just way better than the mooks you run into in video games. They also shout lines that sound very much like the NPC bad guys in The Last of Us games, like they're shouting like, "Oh, I'll kill you, motherfucker," and it just sounds sort of stilted and video game-ish, which I don't know what your mileage will vary on that. I thought it was great. Cheesy, but I just sort of love that they're leaning into the video game stuff in the fights. I don't know, maybe if you haven't played the games, you won't notice that, or maybe you'll feel like it's weird, or I don't know, I'm curious, so let me know. But I liked it. And then this also leads to an important moment between Joel and Ellie when he's taking out two of these guys, and a third one gets the jump on him. and is probably going to kill him by crushing his throat with his gun. And then Ellie comes out and uses the gun that she has hidden secretly from Joel and takes the pistol out, shoots the guy in the back. Joel finishes him off. He spares Ellie that and has her go into the other room. And yeah, but this is a big pivotal moment for them because she saves his life. I mean, he's saved her life a few times now. Now she saves his, and then he sort of realizes, like, oh, this must be very hard for a young girl to shoot somebody like that. And so he tells her it's just not fair, you know. And she tells him, well, this isn't the first time I've had to do something like this. And that makes him think even more like how unfair this is that someone so young, you know, as young, if not younger than his daughter was, has to deal with this awfulness at her age. So that helps sort of bring them even closer together. There's another scene right after this, right after they kill the bandits, where she's snuck into this room and he can't get in. She has to move the desk so he can get in. That all feels very Last of Us video game, like, in these sort of games like that or God of War or whatever. Sometimes the smaller character has to go through and then move something so the other character, This is very video gamey. This is a video gamey feeling show, but it also takes the bleakness of the game and leans into the humorous stuff. And the first game had some really humorous moments. The second game is much more bleak. I also talked about that in another video about how I'm concerned about what they're going to do with the second and third seasons where they get into The Last of Us Part 2, because that game is just so overwhelmingly grim compared to the first game, which is very grim. I mean, this is obviously a grim and dangerous world, but these moments of humor and love are very nice and very, they relieve some of that tension and they help build this human connection. Anyways, finally, we come to the bandits themselves. They are led by a woman named Kathleen, and she's played by Melanie Linsky, who you will recognize from Yellow Jackets. If you haven't watched Yellow Jackets, I don't know why I keep telling you all to watch Yellow Jackets. It's phenomenal. It's one of the best shows I've seen in recent years. She has a great character in that. Melanie Linsky makes me think of a sweet mom, like that lives next door. You're friends with like her kid, and you go over to her house, and she's like baked cookies, and she's like, "How was your day? Let me mother you also. I'm so sweet and nice." And you just want to go over there and eat cookies all the time. But she plays these hardcore women in the shows, right? The Yellow Jackets, I won't get into that, but her character is fascinating. In this show, she's the leader of this rebel group that's defeated Fedra in Kansas City, apparently. She kills her family doctor who delivered her as a baby because he won't tell her where this guy Henry is, who apparently ratted out her brother to Fedra, and that's how her brother died. But she leads a pretty burly gang of toughs, and they've got, cars and guns, and they're armed to the teeth. And when she finds out some of her people have been killed, she's pretty sure it's Henry's doing. Like, he brought in outside mercenaries to help him, and she's just gung-ho for this guy, who apparently has a young son named Sam. They find their old hideout, and there's all these pictures of superheroes and stuff. But we don't really know much more about them than that, except for that at the end of the episode, Ellie wakes up Joel, and there's a man and his son pointing guns at them, and the boy goes, "Shh," and then the credits roll. So big old cliffhanger, right? This is probably Henry and Sam, obviously. I mean, then who else would they be? But whether Henry is actually a rat who deserves the ire of Kathleen's wrath or whatever, saying that wrong, or there's a big old misunderstanding and he's actually a good guy, and she's got bad intel and he's just trying to survive. So we'll learn more about that next week. Overall, I thought this was a great episode. It was shorter, faster paced episode, funny, endearing. Love to watch Joel and Ellie connect more. I love all the details in the show. I love that there's moss and lichen growing on the old rusted up cars. I love that they mention how the gas is like old and bad now, and they won't get as many miles off it. That's why they have to keep siphoning it. I I like. There's lots. The show has great attention to detail. I love all the set pieces as they're driving. You know, we get some overhead shots of just the world as it's kind of crumbled over the last 2 decades, and it feels like that's what it would look like. But it's not just dirty. Like, it's overgrown, and I love those details. Which, just like the music. There's a Hank Williams song, and then there's just the same soundtrack as the video game, and it's just so haunting and beautiful and very nostalgic for me. So, that is all I have to say about that. Please let me know what you thought of the episode down in the comments. Are you enjoying the show? Are you not enjoying the show? Yeah, let me know. And be sure to like and subscribe and hit the notification bell because you love me and you want me to grow this channel to be hundreds of thousands of subscribers so that I can make all kinds of videos and have great conversations with y'all down in the comments section. So, talk to you next time. Peace.